So just in case you missed it, tomorrow's Valentine's Day. We're kind of having a service about that. Now, when we think about Valentine's Day, just like in the skit, we can all have a different version of what Valentine's Day actually means. And most of the time, that starts, like everything else, a reflection inside first. Where are you at in your relationship space? Valentine's Day can bring a magnifying glass or a mirror to that. So we ask you to look inside first. Now, I'm a student of history because, in my mind, history that's not learned from is doomed to be repeated. And to me, the more we understand something, the more we can make different or better choices than we have in our past. Oftentimes, we think we know what something is, and we accept it at face value. At Thanksgiving, during that service, we told a story about a woman who was getting ready. She was preparing Thanksgiving dinner, and she would cut the legs off the turkey before she put it in the oven. And her friend said, "Why do you do that?" She said, "Well, I don't know, my mom always did." She said, "Well, why'd she do it?" "I don't know, let's ask her." So she called her mom and said, "Mom, why do we cut the legs off the turkey before we cook it?" She said, "Well, I don't know, my mom always did." She said, "Well, why'd she do it?" "Well, I don't know, let's call her and ask her." So they called over to Grandma's house and they said, "Grandma, why do you cut the legs off the turkey before you put it in the oven?" And Grandma said, "Well, because back in my day, ovens were only this big and it didn't fit with the legs on it." When we look at why we do what we do, then we can choose to do the same thing to honor a tradition, or we can choose to do it a little different. When it comes to Valentine's Day, we all think we know what it is. The red, the hearts, the flowers, the candy, the cupid. But why do we do the things that we do? How long has this season had the energy of love, of union? Take a little walk down the path of history with me and let me share with you what I discovered. The earliest origins of Valentine's Day that I could find actually dated back to the wedding of Zeus and Hera, of ancient Greek mythology. Now the interesting thing about this particular union with Zeus's wedding to Hera is Hera was actually Zeus's second wife. His first wife was Metis, who was a Titan goddess of good counsel. He felt threatened by Metis and believed that the offspring that she had growing in her belly would be stronger than him and threaten his throne, so he ate her, gobbled her up. A while later he met Hera, said, "Hey, she's pretty sweet." Got married right around Valentine's Day. It was a month-long celebration in the old pagan world to the Greek and Roman mythological gods of the celebration of the union of Zeus and Hera. Now at this wedding, the second wedding of Zeus, everyone gave gifts. Now Gaia, the goddess of the earth, brought a branch with 3 gold apples on it. Interestingly, when we look biblically speaking back to Adam and Eve, did you know that Eve was Adam's second wife? When you read the book of Genesis, it says that God created Adam and God created Adam's wife. And a paragraph later it says, and God created Adam's wife. Well, how can he create his wife twice? Because the Old Testament is the Torah. We went back to the Jewish scholars to see what they found, what they discovered. And what they discovered was Adam's first wife was a woman named Lilith. Neat gal. Now when they got married, when they were created, they were created as equals. As equals, not from a rib, from equals. At some point, Adam became dissatisfied and said, "God, I don't like this. She's my equal. Doesn't work for me." And she was cast out of the Garden of Eden, where she later became a demon who would run around the countryside and eat small children. So in those times, they would sing a Lilith Abbey, or a lullaby, because the sweet music sung to a child was like nails on a chalkboard to the demon Lilith, who would leave the child alone. So anytime you've ever sung a lullaby to a kid, you've actually been keeping Lilith at bay. Now, the reason that I bring this up is simply this. As humans, oftentimes we can feel flawed that love is so tough, that we didn't get it right on the first try. Well, when we see Zeus having a second marriage, when we see God himself creating 2 wives for Adam, we realize just how fickle the heart can be, how complex this thing called love is. Now, as we came a little more recent in time, with Valentine's Day, we looked at the Holy Roman Empire. Now, in the Roman Empire, there was an emperor named Claudius, Claudius II. And when Claudius was born, he inherited a really large Roman Empire. In fact, the Roman Empire was so large that it became difficult to defend because it just had so much space and so many different people who didn't like him from so many different directions. Now, Claudius, he started looking at how can I get some more soldiers and how can I make my soldiers even better. What he found was that his married soldiers didn't do such a good job. They'd be off on a campaign pining for their mate back home. Oh, I want to go home to be with my wife, to be with my kids, to be with my lover. So Claudius made it illegal for any young man to marry. Instead, they would have to join the army without being wed. There was a Catholic bishop at the time named Valentine who didn't agree with this. So he would bring the young lovers into his church and they would make a secret meeting place out in the forest, and he would perform the secret wedding ceremonies. Bishop Valentine. Now Claudius heard about this, and he wasn't real happy about being defied by this bishop. So he had him imprisoned. While in prison, Bishop Valentine became friends with his jailer. And the jailer had a daughter, and Valentine was kind of sweet on her. Now Valentine was such a pure man, such a, for lack of a better term, holy man, that he was blessed with the gift of healing. And the jailer's wife was blind. He laid hands on the jailer's daughter, and she was able to see. Claudius came to visit Valentine in prison, and he was so taken with how wonderful this man was. He tried everything to convert him from Christianity back to the pagan gods, the mythological gods of the day, in order to spare his life. Valentine was so steadfast in his own belief system that rather than converting, he tried to convert Claudius II to Christianity. He was rewarded with a sentence of death. When he was being hauled off to be executed, his young love, the jailer's daughter, wasn't there. So he asked her a parchment and a pen, and he simply wrote, "From your Valentine," and asked to be given to the daughter. This was the first recorded Valentine in our history, and it's not died yet. Valentine's Day actually accounts for 25% of the mail sent in the U.S. all year long, second only to Christmas. I normally don't do this, but there was so much information I actually took notes. Now, also, at the same time in Roman history, which was about 270 AD, February 14th, 270 AD was when Valentine was sentenced to death, put to death. But at the same time, there was a festival, a two-day festival. It went from February 13th to February 15th, called Lupirsi. This was a pagan festival to celebrate fertility and cleansing. Everyone would clean out their houses, and they would sage, and they would energetically cleanse out being cooped up all winter. Roman priests would gather at the secret cave where the infants Romulus and Remus, the founders of Rome, were said to have been born and raised by a wolf. The priests would then sacrifice a goat and cut strips of flesh off its hindquarters and give it to the young boys. And the boys would run throughout Rome, smacking you with these strips of flesh. And it was considered such an honor if you were smacked by one of these because it was said to bring about fertility. They would also smack the ground with these things to ensure a plentiful harvest and good crops. At the same time, and with this same festival of Lupirsi, there was a Roman lottery. They would go to every woman in Rome of a certain age, and she would put her name into an urn. And then they would go to all the bachelors of Rome and have them draw a name out of the urn. And they would be paired with that person for a year. Although it sounds goofy, it often led to marriage. Lottery. Who knew? Now, as so many of our customs and our traditions date back to pagan roots, and then somewhere along the line got adjusted by the Catholic Church. This one's no different. The Catholic Church in 500 AD, Pope Gelasius I got really tired of all this hoopla about a Roman lottery and about this wolf that raised the two founders of Rome. And coincidentally, St. Valentine, well, Bishop Valentine, who is now sainted, was put to death on February 14th. So they made it an official holiday. Valentine's Day is February 14th, and it got all the hurrah. So by the time the 15th rolled around, not so much. And basically it usurped the first holiday. Now, the interesting thing about this is a few years later, once it had done its job of getting rid of the pagan holiday, it was actually abolished by the Catholic Church and not reinstated back in the Roman calendar of saints until 1969 by Pope Paul VI. Although its religious observance was permitted, it wasn't sanctioned by the church until 1969, even though they created it at 500 AD. Goofy stuff. Now, when we have cards, when we have candies, when we have flowers, when we see these things, they often have a bird on them, a dove most of the time. This dates back to its ancient roots in the Luperci. Because back then, the scholars of the day, the Roman scholars, had found in their scientific wisdom that birds mated once a year. And they all waited for February 14th to do it. So it was illegal to hunt any bird on February 14th, because that was their mating day. The rest of the year, they were open season. But that's how the bird, one of the ways that the bird got associated with Valentine's Day. Now back to the Luperci, that was a time of purification, which is why they would clean their houses, i.e. spring cleaning. And so it also got symbolized by the dove. Now we all know Cupid, right? Short little guy, wings, bow and arrow. Yeah, right back to that mythological roots. Cupid has long played a role in the celebrations of love and lovers. He is known as the mischievous winged child whose arrows would pierce the hearts of his victims, causing them to fall deeply in love. In ancient Greece, he was known as Eros, the son of Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty. In the Romans, he was Cupid, and his mother was Venus. So we look at maybe some other things like chocolates. We all give chocolates. It's great Valentine's Day if you get chocolates. But where did that come from? Well, about 2,000 years ago, the Mayans and the Aztecs found if they did some stuff with some cocoa beans, it tasted pretty good. And their elite would use it as an aphrodisiac. When Christopher Columbus came over, he saw how revered this thing called chocolate was, and he brought some back to Queen Isabella and got all of Europe hooked. I'm hooked. As we were already passing back and forth Valentines to celebrate the day, there are some folks that wanted to increase their chances of getting lucky. So they would add some chocolate to the mix. Here's your Valentine and here's your chocolate. Hoping you might lose just that little control. We look at Valentine's Day not just as a day of couples. In the older languages of Greek and Latin, there were actually 5 names for love. 5 names for love. We have only one, and so we lump it all into one big pile and say, this is love, this is what Valentine's Day is. With that, referring to Eros. Eros is people love, romantic love, the love we can have for each other. But there is also agape, which is a God love, a divine love, that not only comes from God to us, but also comes from the God in me to the God in you. As human beings, we're always evolving. We're always evolving. It wasn't long ago that it was absolutely frowned upon and forbidden for a person of one race to show love to a person of a different race. Now we know that's just silly. That's silly humans. Silly humans. We're getting past that. Now that's love. That's love. Not long ago, we had other judgments about a woman couldn't love a woman or a man couldn't love a man. More judgment. We're already feeling. Silly humans. Silly humans. Love is love. There is no good, no bad, no right, no wrong. Love is love. God is the ultimate love. Where you see love, you see God. Where you feel love, you feel God. Today's service is to remind you of your ultimate Valentine. Your Creator, God, who absolutely loves and adores you with an agape kind of love. Recognizing the God within you, your soul, your spirit, your spark, and feeling so connected to it that there's almost no separation between you and it. You and him, her, mother, father, God, goddess, the ultimate love. That's why there is not one single person anywhere on the planet. You have your ultimate Valentine. Now, when I go back to grade school in my head, when I go back to when I would pass out Valentines to my classmates, one of the things that I remember and I learn and I take with me today is there was a question, not a statement. The question was, will you be my Valentine? Implies free will, implies you have a choice. Last night I was working on today's sermon. I was working on the skit. I was putting my energy into it. I was watching Mary work on her meditation. I was watching Vern get his music together and decide exactly what he was going to sing and how he was going to sing it. Craig was helping us all. We're hanging out. We're totally in spirit getting ready for today. And I was praying, God, what can I do? What message can I give? What I felt in my heart was God asking me to ask you, will you be his Valentine? Every Sunday we give a gift to you at Connections because we believe that the doors of giving and receiving are the same door on a two-way hinge. Well, we just asked on behalf of God if you would be God's Valentine. Okay, on three, whatever you think, answer to God, will you be God's Valentine? 1, 2, 3.
Yes!
Right on. Now, God is pretty cool and asked us to bring y'all some chocolates. So, we'll have you start from the front and come on up and get your Valentine's Day gift from your Valentine from God.
If you give it away, give it away, give it away. Love is something if you give it away, you'll end up having more. It's just like a magic penny, hold it tight and you won't have any. Lend it, spend it and you'll have so many, you'll roll all over the floor.
The second part of giving and receiving is giving. As you give, you open up the door to receive. So this is my favorite part because I feel like it's a win-win. You give and you get. I mean, you get and you get. But as you give to God, as you hold your gift that you want to give, your tithe to God, feel it as coming back to you 10 times, tenfold. God is never outgiven. And I love that concept. It makes no sense for the logical brain, but for the emotional and the reality of it, it is such a powerful tool.
As we know, money is just energy. It's energy, and by exchanging your energy with God, you allow that relationship to grow. Money is just a representative of energy. Close your eyes. Imagine yourself standing. And imagine this magnificent presence, this creator, God, being right there with you, just like in your relationship room in the meditation. Imagine reaching inside of yourself and scooping out some of your energy and handing it to God, handing it to your ultimate Valentine. Saying, I love you. And here's a part of me, and can I take in a bigger part of you? Capture this feeling. Exchanging energy with the divine. This is all that giving is. Where instead of reaching into yourself, you're reaching into whatever, your wallet, your time, your talent, your love. So we invite you to take your gift in your hand, Take your gift in your hand and infuse it with energy, with your energy. If this is the stereo, you be the amplifier. And if you agree with what's on the screen, we invite you to read it with us. Divine Spirit, bless these gifts. I welcome abundance in my life. Bless and multiply all that I am able to give and all that I am willing to receive.
Love is something if you give it away. Give it away. Give it away. Love is something if you give it away. You end up having more. It's just like a magic penny. Hold it tight and you won't have any. Lend it, spend it, and you'll have so many. They'll roll all over the floor. For love is something if you give it away. Give it.
Now, we try to talk about this every Sunday, and sometimes we get so excited we forget. But right over on the table here is the God box. Now, inside of that God box, 10% of everything that comes into Connections, at least 10%, makes its way to fulfilling dreams and prayer requests that are right there. If you know someone who has a need that we don't know, even if you think we do know, doesn't matter, let us know, put it in there. We will pray, we will send energy, we will do whatever we can to do our part. Just like Santa has little helpers, so does God. We put on our hat and we say, how can we help? You let us know of a need and we will do our level best to fill it. Now sometimes those needs can be met most clearly, most profoundly through prayer, through energy work, through healing, through the gift of someone reaching out a hand. Other times those needs are more immediate. We've had needs in the God box ranging from, my neighbor has no gas to get to work. We have to go buy gas cards and knock on someone's door and say, these were to be delivered to you? Gas cards. And a little simple white card on it that said, I'm listening and I love you, God. That's it. If you don't have gas to get to work, you're praying to someone. We had someone else put in the God box that they knew someone who had no groceries for themselves and their children. We had to show up to the door, utilizing some of this energy, some of this money that we all are a part of, to buy groceries and show up at someone's door with armloads of groceries and a simple white card that said, I'm listening and I love you, God. There was somebody who was in the prayer request box in the God box who hadn't had electricity or water in about 3 months. We got to call the utility company, get some stuff turned on. Now imagine if you know that you have no electricity in your house, you know that you have no water in your house, and you come home from work and the lights are on in your place. You're a little confused. So you call the electric company and you say, how are my lights on? Who turned my lights on? And they say, the only thing in our database says, I'm listening and I love you, God. That is some powerful stuff that we do together. We've all been a part of those miracles, whether we've known it or not. So I thank you. I thank you for exchanging energy with God. I thank you for being a part of each other's miracle, and a lot of miracles that, unless you're on the prayer team, you don't know about. And if you want to be on the prayer team, welcome. The more the merrier. Many hands equal light work. In just a second, we're going to invite Vern back up. This is the second week that Vern's been with us. Second week. And this week he's heading back home to South Dakota. You know, you talk about being a part of someone's miracle. Someone donated a very large, about $18,000 sound system to Connections. And we were blown away. And then we asked God, how are we going to get it here? And we started thinking about we can palletize it, we get some shipping quotes. And instead we got a call from a man who sung at our wedding, who said, don't have it ready Thursday. I'll pick it up and drive it 2,300 miles and bring it to your front door. I've been watching Connections online. Y'all are doing pretty good, but I'd love to add my voice, my musical gift to this Connections family that I'm a part of along with us. Bless you. That's incredible stuff. That's God in action. We all feel tugs from spirit of things that we can do. At some point, we run out of excuses and we just say yes. Vern said yes. Now we're going to get to, in just a second, we're going to get to enjoy Vern's music. But this is not an isolated event. This is not the last time that we will hear Vern in Connections. And this is not the last time that you will hear Vern's song, if you choose. Just as we exchange energy with God, we also exchange energy with each other. No matter what your dream is, I will do everything in my power to help your dream manifest. I will exchange energy with you, I will pray with you, I will give you any guidance, business advice, anything that I can do to help your dreams happen. Just call me out. I will do my best. And I got a pretty good track record. Now with that, there's other folks that have dreams also. Vern has 3 CDs. 3 CDs. He's working on 2 more, but right now he has 3 CDs over here on the table. I would ask you, please, return the kindness this man has shown this organization, this spiritual family. Take one of his CDs home with you. We heard somebody before service today say that she bought one of his CDs last week and has been getting pumped as she listens to it in her car driving all over town. And they're right. We invite you to have the same experience. They're right over here after the service, and we ask you to exchange energy with Vern, who has exchanged so much energy with us. I couldn't imagine. Now think about this for just a second. Sorry, I don't need to go on, but I just really want you to think about this. If God told you, go load your vehicle so much it drops 6 inches in the back, and drive it 2,300 miles, because I've got something over here that I need to get over here, would you do it? There's times I'd like to say in my life I would, and there's other times I'd say, well, I'd love to, but I gotta work, I got this, I got that, I got this, I got that. This man picked up the phone, answered the call, and said, let him have it ready by Thursday. I'll bring it to you. Thank you, Vern. Thank you. Now, if you know Vern, you know it's not often that he blushes, so we've accomplished something. And we'll start the music. Invite Vern up to the front to bless us with his gift of song.
Thank you. And ask you to rise and move some more energy with attitude. It's a matter of attitude. It's a matter of gratitude. The preacher called it an attitude, and he might be right. It's a matter of attitude. Yes, a matter of gratitude. Just a positive attitude, and it could change your life. There is another way to see yourself, a plan to get you through the day. When you believe in who you are, miracles begin. Let the world's opinions fade away. Let yourself relax. Take a minute, put the telephone on hold, and ride with me the wind. Sing with me, come on. It's a matter of attitude. It's a matter of gratitude. The doctor called it an attitude, and he might be right. It's a matter of attitude. Yes, a matter of gratitude. Just a positive attitude, and it can change your life. Roll your shoulders. Everybody can roll them back and roll them forward. Take a step to your right, another step to your right. Now how about shuffle over to your left? Oh, you shuffled really good. We're gonna have dancing when I come back next time. If you only had one more day to live, and you could be anything you want, suddenly the most important things are love and breathing. You find the strength to carry on. Make believe the whole world needs you. So busy giving, you don't think about receiving. Let's move. It's a matter of attitude. It's a matter of gratitude. The preacher called it an attitude, and he might be right. your, it could change 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 your 7 days of the week. It could change your life. Cha-cha-cha. Let's form a circle.
That's it. Join me in a closing prayer. Divine Spirit, thank you. Thank you for a great day, for a great service, for feeling the message, the meditation, the music, and most of all, you and each other. We ask you fill us with your love, with your light, with your prosperity, your abundance, your gratitude, your positive attitude. You enhance our spark, our spirit, and overfill us with divine love. Right now we're in a circle and we're all connected. Feel the love that you're a part of. Feel the love of the person to your right and the person to your left. All the way around this circle. I ask that you open your heart. Let your love flow from one to each other with acceptance, without judgment, amplified by each person, amplified by the creative force, the divine spirit that is in each one of us and flowing throughout the circle. Really feel it. Really feel it. Today you got the ultimate Valentine. The ultimate Valentine that reflects inside of you your own